What's up, everybody? How you doing? Let's just kind of unite. Everyone take a deep breath in. Slow on the way out. Another one. Thank you. That was just for me. So, I'm going to go through, and I don't like to organize certain things, so I might go completely rogue. So, just so you know, I threw this slide presentation together, but let's see how it goes. But I'm stoked to be here, and it's kind of like the reunion of even being in London for Down to Earth. So it's kind of fun to be able to see the world a little more normal, even though in a lot of ways it's still inverted, which I'm going to get into a little bit. But I'm going to go through a couple things here because they're very, very interesting, and they also speak to some solutions that I'll get to. And kind of my latest ridiculous obsession is trying to figure out solutions for the insanity that we're doing, right? And if some of you, how many of you have seen Down to Earth? I'm not offended if not all of you. How many of you have heard some of my podcasts, are familiar with Fatal Conveniences? Cool, so we're going to get into that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to dive deep into some of them because I'm obsessed on a book right now that I'm diving into even more on Fatal Conveniences. So I'm just going to hit some light ones, and some of them you're not going to like. But, and I'm laughing because I know it's coming. Some of these things that I'm doing, by the way, I'm going to give some stuff away right now. Let's come up with a good question. I'm going to jump my slides. Who knows the origin? You can't look on your phone. Can't look on your phone. I know if you're cheating. I have people in the audience specifically located to catch you. How many of you know the origin of the name of Bluetooth? Where did that come from?
Harold the Bluetooth of Death.
Oh, dude. Right on. That's a BLK. So BLK is a great company, Ancient Plant Minerals, that, by the way, they come in their natural size of electrolytes and antioxidants that the body receives. So I got involved with them. I'm doing some wicked formulations on extracts, full spectrum extracts on some plant compounds, ironically from Australia, and we filmed season 2 of Down to Earth in Australia, and they're connected to the Aboriginals in a fair trade loop, and we have things coming out with this company that will blow your mind in terms of full spectrum extraction processes. So let's see. So this is, by the way, this is from my perspective. Again, I'm just jumping. I'm not even going to follow my slides at this point. But this is probably one of the best things to do to add to your water. Fulvic, humic, ancient plant minerals. So let's see. Shilajit. So it's an origin of Shilajit, which is about 20,000 years old from Ayurveda. This is a great form of it. You can add to your water, and you get all the electrolytes. Let's see. What was one thing that you learned from Down to Earth Season 1? Yes?
The grounding for the jet lag.
Oh, God.
Went to Costa Rica, did that straight away.
There you go. I mean, you did it, and I didn't even do it. Damn it. Another thing on here, which I'm super happy about, and which also speaks to circular economy, which also speaks to what we need to connect ourselves from and not disconnect, and that is supporting the earth, supporting people, and supporting the indigenous cultures by our products. Every time we do something and it's not in flow with nature, at any point, whether it's supply chain, whether it's packaging, whether it's marketing and it's not truthful, it goes sideways. This is a company that I founded. I found this nut out of Brazil. We tested everything against any nut on the planet, and it gave more nutrients, more antioxidants, more micronutrients than any other nut. Who wants it? Me. There you go. Right on. All right, enough giving away. Let's get into it. I might just out this right now. So footprintus.com, this talks on fatal conveniences. I'm going to get into that. But part of it is plastic, right? We know now that there was a study out that normal people, not even in this room, you guys are aware of what you're doing. You're aware of the things that you're taking in your body. How many of you like to buy plastic water bottles? Right? What choices do we have? Right? Sometimes you don't have a choice. Footprint US is the largest alternative to single-use plastic on the planet today. They're working with 9 out of the 10 biggest companies on the planet, and they're all buying into that. McDonald's, Pepsi, Walmart, all of these people have signed on and are changing their products from plastic into plant fibers. This shit is really important, okay? The anxiety that a normal person has, I'm saying normal, not you guys, because you guys are aware of it. You're like, yeah, you know, don't drink plastic, but sometimes you can't help it because there's issues with that. There's petroleum, there's phthalates, which are plasticizers that make, just as a quick note, anytime you're feeling a plastic that's more malleable, that means there's a lot more phthalates in there. And phthalates essentially mean that's an endocrine disruptor. They connect with the estrogen receptors and then trick your body into thinking it's extra estrogen, right? So hats off, check these guys out. It's a B2B company. I get nothing from telling you about it. I'm telling you because I talked about it a little bit, or at least I mentioned it. A lot of the things that we're doing is inverted. I look at this world, I'm not getting into the pandemic. Exactly. So all of this stuff, are the way that we reach out to the world or try to support us is often inverted. And so it's a crazy thing where you don't have a choice. You are buying something that's undercutting your health as a plastic water bottle, and it's affecting the planet. It's a perfect or an imperfect thing that we have created in our society that doesn't have another choice. So we have to support companies that are actually doing the right thing. All right. There's also another cool, I'm an advisor to these guys. It's a new blockchain app that it's basically Instagram. And you're mining currency. You don't have to put any money into it. And you're literally posting and you're mining cryptocurrency. It's freaking cool. And they're just now launching. Okay. So before Netflix, I spent about 20 to 25 years running around the planet superfood hunting. What the hell does that mean? That was a term that was given to me by a Business Week article, and it just kind of stuck. It was basically the innocence. I come from a father that was a professor in an agricultural community in Minnesota. So I'm very much a blue-collar person. If you've seen the show, I'm that same person, right? So it's really like, for me, when I was looking and researching nutrition, I have a background of physiology and nutrition, as well as a master's in psychology. And for me, when I was looking into the supplement industry, I was horrified because there was a marketing story and then there was a supplement and they didn't line up, especially when you actually looked and had things tested. You're like, what the hell's going on? And finally, that moment, I was in India looking at Himalayan salt in 2003, and this moment was like, and I was playing with formulas, I was working with stuff, and I was like, my father passed away, and I was like, you know what? I'm seeing it, so now do something about it. So I spent the next 20 years running around sourcing directly. It was well before, fair trade and all of this stuff. It's like, it's common sense. It's common sense to make sure the person that's collecting your food, your botanical, your herb, that is taken care of, right? It's common sense to make sure supply chain and how they grow it, how they process it, how they manufacture it, how they put it in the bottle. It's necessary to make sure that all of that is above board. So that world led me into formulating some stuff for this company, Beachbody, and just was able to fund me still running around the planet. So love that part of my life. That's a real water buffalo in the Philippines. That's a jungle looking at Untitled in Peru, and that was way up at about 20,000 feet in the sovereign mountains of Tibet, right on the border of China, and that's Shizandra. Or excuse me, that is, the hell was that? Shizandra was in a wild protected area of protecting. This is where herbs get really cool. You can actually do fair trade, and this was supporting pandas. So Shizandra, one of the greatest adaptogens on the planet. Okay, so some of you are familiar. This is where I think things are inverted. Even in this biohacking community, we have to be very careful. If you biohack yourself out of the cyclical nature and your nature connected, that's why, like, grounding. Well, we're only grounding because we're ungrounded. You know, we used to live 91% of our lives was outside with no shoes, right? And so now this biohacking thing is really, let's get back to nature. Let's get back to common sense. Let's get back to connection. So you all can read that. It's what we think we're doing, but in fact, and in reality, we'll talk about a few of them, it is in fact different. Where that came from, this is my father. I have very few pictures of him. Obviously, that's the one, and the other one that looks like me is me. That was us riding our motorcycle. I don't think that was after college, but I jumped on a motorcycle the day after graduation, and we journeyed together for a long time. My father was in the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was one of the engineers for atomic bombs, and his thyroid was gone. And he never talked about that until the JFK movie came out with Kevin Costner, and then all of a sudden I heard this whole story where he thought his life was over and he was getting ready to get an atomic bomb ready and maybe the end of the world. And so this is a picture. I lost it in the fire, but he was part of the Keepers of the Dragon, obviously the radioactive radiation from that annihilated his immune system, which led to him in the 90s, if I needed to hang out with him, he would say, well, here's the deodorant, here's the shampoo, here's the laundry detergent, and here are the clothes to stay away from. So use those if you want to hang out with me, because this was a very smart guy, was a professor, and you couldn't be around him because he would fog out. So it was the first multiple sensitivity disorder. It was before the internet was going crazy, so he'd print out, he'd give us VHS tapes, and he goes, hey, learn about this, I can't be around people. And so he eventually got very depressed, and he started drinking again. He passed away in 2004, and I believe this really depressed him. And so chemicals in our environment, 60 to 90,000, are created every freaking year. And of that, maybe 3 to 5% are tested at all, of any kind. Not to mention, barely any on biology and virtually nothing on the interactions between all the other chemicals. So we're creating a chemical soup, which we have no idea what it's doing, except we're starting to understand that it's undercutting our health in a big way. So, from the Dane, Harold Bluetooth. I don't know why they gave him this. It's like he was apparently a good king, but they gave him this name. So the convenience of Bluetooth is convenient. Stick these things in your ears, play all your music. So you don't have this crazy wire. Great, except it's electromagnetic smog, it's RF frequency, it's electromagnetic waves that are penetrating your body. And of that, none of it's being tested. No telecommunication companies are testing it for safety. Of course, there's tests that have been done since they put up power poles for the first time for the telegraph. And they have evidence going all the way back. And it killed the red sparrow. No one talked about it. It messed up the migratory patterns of many animals. And even to this day, children at a school underneath an electric power pole have, in some instances, up to 700% more likelihood of developing leukemia. There is so many studies, it will make your freaking head spin, that dates all the way back. And I'm sitting here, and again, I'm way down the rabbit hole in my own book with this stuff. I don't get it. I literally don't get it. I don't get, listen, I'm not going to get much in the cell phone because that would take a week to unpack all of the tobacco industry cover-up that has been going on. But I promise you, it is scary, right? So here's some of the things that are going on that are all based in science. These are not my words. These are things that, there's the Danish king quote for you. That was just for you. But there are 2 A's?
2 A's.
Damn it. So there, ever since the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5G Wi-Fi routers, there's a line of all this Bluetooth, smart meters, all of the smart electronics. They can only legally be in a certain bandwidth, 2.4, between around about 2.5. And just cutting through the chase here, they show that testosterone goes down. They're showing it's taking outside calcium in the cell and ramming it into the inside of the cell, which creates a lot of reactive oxygen species and undercuts your metabolism. Oxygenesis, which is, obesogenogenesis, I forget how to say it. It's a form of metabolism change based on electromagnetic fields and endocrine disruptors, and which we'll get into a little bit on on endocrine disrupting. So here's an interesting study out of the International Commission of Non-Ionizing Radiation. So just quickly, radiation, obviously the bad stuff. Chernobyl, X-rays, takes your atom and rips the electron out, and you have it's going to kill you. Non-ionizing is dated in its research. To this day, how much progress has been made in 20 years with technology? A little or a lot? A lot? The FCC has not updated any of the testing measures in 20 years. And all of their leaning on is thermal injury. Okay, and by the way, my cell phone's off. I would encourage all of you, if you're not using it, just turn it off. Thermal is all that it's hurting you with. That's what they claim. So the FCC says, hey, as long as it's not burning your skin, it's safe. But now what we're finding, stressors on the HPA axis, which is basically saying, okay, it's stressing the central nervous system and all of these other systems. The immune system goes down, lower testosterone. The irony is that we're here at a biohacking conference trying to hack the endocrine system, help with my low testosterone, help with this, help with that, boost my immune system during a crazy pandemic, whatever it is. Your Wi-Fi router, your Bluetooth that you're listening to your podcast in, talking about increasing your testosterone, is actually lowering your testosterone at the same time. So it's just like, and I don't want to bore you with the obsession that I've had, but look at this. So millimeter waves, this is basically showing some of these waves, the safety measures are 100. People shouldn't be exposed to anything over 100, and even that's high in certain instances. So look we're all doing this, right? All of these devices, all these Bluetooth, all of this stuff, cell phone up to my head, causing stress. Glioma rates are huge as it relates to the RNA signaling, the forcing the calcium inside the cell, causing cellular damage. It just goes on and on and on. So this is what we're doing. What if I could illuminate, I should do this right now, actually. Hold on. Hold, please. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold on. Why is this not turning on? All right. It's not making the big noises, but you can see it's super high. So if I could actually, if I could take cigarette smoke and push it in here, would you all be offended? Well, what are you guys doing? Right? Well, that's what it is. The WHO, the EPA, FCC is playing the game, but all this evidence dating back to the time when they put up the first power pole is showing electromagnetic smog, and it's a possible carcinogen, and showing a lot of these things. What I'm hoping, if you want to jump down the rabbit hole of the history, the invisible rainbow, incredible. This guy's still alive. I reached out to him, Samuel Milham. He did a lot of incredible work with the schools and children because he saw that kids were really being affected. Their immune systems, the blood-brain barrier, by the way, is being annihilated with electromagnetic waves. So even if you can take in a little bit of what I'm saying, your Bluetooth putting up to your head is an insane idea because we now know that it's destroying the blood-brain barrier, which basically is like you have the gut, right? When your gut gets ripped apart, you have toxins going into your digestive system, small intestine. It's the same with the blood-brain barrier, but it's a lot more detrimental. So Bluetooth, just don't use it. Again, there's another 50 studies on testosterone levels. There's another 50 on oxidative stress, but I just grabbed a few of them. Thyroid, metabolism, growth, development, all of these things are being affected. Okay, so again, that's EMF in a very, very short period of time, but you can do a lot of things to mitigate it. I say, listen, plug back in. I've done this in my entire house. There's a great company called Tech Wellness, and there's probably a bunch of other ones, but I've been plugging back in, turning off my Wi-Fis, using shielding devices. I have a shielding device on my phone, a company called Safe Sleeve. So this is a third-party tested. So at least on this side, I turn it off on the airplane mode. Plus, if you happen to have it on your body, at least turn the shielding device on that side. So that's a really good, and there's a lot of now Faraday cages around Wi-Fi routers. Obviously, you want to turn your Wi-Fi routers off at night. Okay. Any questions on EMFs? Yeah.
What about the plug-in headphones?
Yes, a lot better. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times the device itself can still emit a lot, so just keep the devices away from you. If you can turn off Wi-Fi altogether, then great. But it also matters that things are properly grounded as well. Ben mentioned a few of the grounding things. Any other questions on EMS? I mean, it's a Pandora's box, but yeah.
Just on the Wi-Fi, I was wondering, obviously if you turn your own Wi-Fi but you live in a building with everybody else's Wi-Fi.
It's a disaster.
Right.
And that's the problem. These are modern day, I'm telling you, these are invisible dangers that we're all walking around with. I'm looking at this stuff going, what the hell are we doing? Mm-hmm. This is insane. Now, I wasn't going to really get into this, but we have SpaceX, we have all these companies. They're scheduled to put 42,000 satellites in our ionosphere and blasting us with 5G. There will be no place where you can virtually go. And do we have consent in that? Right? Like, that's insane. Yeah.
I have a friend who has a cancer that's exactly in a square right here on his thigh from where he put his phone in his pocket.
Yeah.
And also, I wrote the first book on 4G, and I can tell you that 5G is way worse than this because it uses spatial division, and it's at the head. So what they're doing is basically putting it right at the level of the head. So you're going to have these things emitting radiation that are a couple of feet from people's head, and thousands in every big city.
Yeah. So we're just blindly doing this, and we're continuing to buy these things and everything else. And listen, I have it too, but we have to do the best we can to mitigate the amount of pollution that we're getting. I know that's a big topic, but I just wanted to give you a taste. It's just because it's not my job to tell you what to do. I'm not interested. Give you some information, wake up an aspect. My biggest concern right now is two major things. The divorcing of common sense. We're divorcing it. It's common sense to take off your shoes and not wear shoes and not smash your shoes. You know, it's like there's common sense that we're just like, get your ass outside, breathe in fresh air, and if you can, just take a break from cities, whatever else. So we're divorcing a common sense. And I think biohacking from that perspective has just got that, it's got that term, which is so much of this stuff is just common sense. Because we have to step back into our common sense from the modern day kind of delusion that we're in. And then the second is giving our power away. So we lack common sense, we're not feeling good, we're not listening to our intuition, whatever that is, and then we give our power away to someone, something, some authority to then tell us what to do. And that is destroying our population. So that's my uplifting part of this. But there's always a solution. And that is why, let me just be honest. I don't want to write a book. I don't even want to do a talk on this. I don't. I have so much cool shit I'd love to talk about, but I'm compelled. My father freaking suffered right in front of me. And then his demise from that depression directly. I've been blessed to be around incredible, God damn, that time has gone by. Dr. Mohsen Hoormanish, one of the most beautiful, bright, smart people that I got to meet 20 years ago. He was the first person to say, do not use a cell phone. He doesn't have one. And he gave me the term fatal convenience. And he started educating me 25 years ago. And I didn't want to buy into it either. The reality is, I don't care what you think. This is real. So you can say all you want. Well, I'm still going to use my... Fine, I don't care. It's still affecting your biology. So are deodorants. It's such a fun topic, isn't it? But here's the point. Do you all agree that if there's something going on in your life, you actually have to turn and face it, or else it doesn't change? Relationships are a perfect example. I don't want to, you're feeling a tension with your partner and you just like push it away. You don't evolve. You bury yourself. I was just talking to Dr. Olivia about a mutual friend, and it's like you have to face the demons. And as a culture, we have to turn and face this stuff. We have to turn and go, God damn it, I don't want to do this book. But I have to. I have to, because it affected my father and it's affecting all of us right now, regardless of what you believe. So I love to kind of dive into the history. That's how I found out about the Danish king, Danish Harald Bluetooth. And again, this deodorant's very sensitive area of the skin, very absorbable. If you can't eat it and you're putting it on your body, then it's having a detrimental effect. And there's a lot of, and the aerosolized forms are crazy gnarly. CFCs, which are carcinogenic and hormone disrupting. So a few other things, these are the things to stay away from in all cases. Phthalates, I've mentioned before, they're in everything. They're plasticizers. Why are they in my deodorant? Right? They're petroleum-based, parabens, petroleum-based, endocrine disruptor, carcinogen, known, not making it up. Aluminum, still in there, even though it was outed in a certain form, still shows up. Aluminum, EDCs, endocrine disruptors, breast cancer, all the links, your lymphatic, your immune system, all of this stuff, it's so precious. You know, homeopathic remedies are small doses taken over a period of time that allow your body to build a change to adapt to a stressor. We are doing this with chemicals based on something coming from a freaking lab and a company that gives a shit about you. So we need to find companies that have our back. There's a couple. Bite is there also a great toothpaste. It comes in without the tube, without the plastic tube, as a bite. And these are also a couple. And you can make your own. Lemon, coconut oil, or shea butter, or actually lemon is great for the day, right? So again, I'm a plant guy. I love being here because like Ben's talking about eating testicles and shit. And you know, again, I have no judgment. I love Ben, and we've had great talks. We just don't go into certain areas. But you know, for me, I've always found bioaccumulation interesting. I find plants that have that which may be bioaccumulated in the flesh of an animal. So I just cut out the middleman, right? That's how I've always looked at stuff, and that's what I practice. All right, so there's this one, I gotta mention this thing. We're gonna get into water, but a very, very important thing. This was an incredible human. I don't know if I can say what he's up for, Jennifer. Can I say? No. Okay, he's up for a big thing. But 5 minutes, God. This is Fend. Talk about biohacking, but it's nature. So Dr. David Edwards, he's an aerosol physicist from Harvard and MIT. He's smart. Beautiful heart. What he figured out is certain salts, when breathed in, hydrate the upper respiratory system, and he got thrown into COVID because it turns out just by hydrating your upper respiratory system, body knows how to sort it out. Your immune system goes up, everything, the inflammatory system goes down. This is what you do. This is it. It's salt water. I'm addicted to it. Because it's just, and listen, if you live by the ocean, just go for a walk every day and breathe that in. And it turns out, do you know the first organ, I'm going to give this away. Do you know the first organ to dehydrate out of any organ in your body? Nope. Nope. What was that? Nope. 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 Well, getting warm. Nope. Nope. Getting close. The larynx and the esophagus. Do you realize that most people, Dr. Zach Bush actually said, every person that he's tested, 100% of the people were dehydrated. Now, if you look at the stats in the US, which is very similar in the UK, nearly 10% of the population of 330 million people literally are not even drinking an ounce of water a day. Everyone's dehydrated. And also, so that closes down. The larynx closes down, the esophagus closes down. You know how to increase oxygen by 30%? Because water, it's going to take a long time. It's got other things to go to. You literally do that, boom. 30% increase in oxygen. That's a whole nother thing, for sure. You need salt, I'll talk about that. But yes, so I do all of it. Let me see. So we're going to talk about, I don't even have enough time, do I? I have like 1 minute. Is there questions after? Do we have time for that, or is this it? Okay, so let's just, water's going to be a rabbit hole. Basically, tap water is shit, right? Also, the bottled water industry is completely flipped. They're showing caffeine, heavy metals, plasticizers, propellants, all of this stuff showing up. That's why I go back to plants, filter the water. AquaTrue's awesome. Reverse osmosis. Don't drink water distilled or reverse osmosis on its own. You have to add electrolytes. You have to add the right size of the electrolytes that is smaller, angstrom size, than the actual cell itself, so that it actually then has cellular hydration. That's my protocol. You can also add, if you don't have BLK, you can actually add Himalayan crystal salt. And we won't have time to get into toxic clothes. I will just say that everything that I'm wearing is organic, with no formaldehydes, no artificial dyes. These are upcycled pants, right? So stay away from denim, right? 50,000 I've said this before, 50,000 microbits of plastic are going in the environment every time you wash a pair of jeans. The other thing I'll say on clothes, just to get your head around it. Oh, this is another one. I got another. How much water, whoever's closer, you're not going to get it. How much water does it take to make one t-shirt? No. Huh? A little too high. But, huh? 15 what? Liters? No. No. Just because you went high, I'll give it to you. But it's 27. You pass that to her? Thank you. 2,700 liters of water. And of that water that's used is now contaminated going in the environment. So I'm a big fan of, you don't have to buy fast fashion all the time. Also, all of those things that are not organic are also formaldehydes and endocrine disruptors and everything else going into your skin. And there's a whole other host of problems with that. So that's it. I hope you're not too depressed. The point is, I want you to face things. I really do. If any of you saw how much we care on that show, that's how much I care. And I want us to close the gap from just me and the environment. It's literally connected. So this isn't plastic, but if it was plastic, I'm drinking out of this, affecting my hormones, getting toxification, and then I throw it away. What's the planet doing with it? 9%, and that's a stretch, 8.7% of all plastic is supposedly recycled. Of that, it can only be recycled one turn, so it's still here. Recycling is a delusion. Literally, it's not happening. So there is no good that's coming from that. So we need to support companies that are doing eco-packaging and other things because it's connected to you, man. So anyway, I think that's it. If anyone has any questions, we can take. Yeah. Any question, it doesn't have to be about this. It can be about Zach. No, I'm just kidding.
What's the number one thing we can do to live longer?
Great question. From my perspective,
Sure.
knowing yourself. And what I mean by that is the cultivation of who you really are. I mean, I know that's esoteric, but it isn't. It's facing demons, facing who you are, facing the gloriousness of who you are. And this isn't even a plug. It's like, I love Brain Tap. I'm obsessed with it because it's supporting the narrative of that we're all extraordinary. We're souls renting a body, right? And so I'm a big fan of being the best version of yourself, however that is. And with all of that has a lot of subtext, connection, love, relationships. When you love yourself, you love other people, et cetera, et cetera.